back again with this question of the cymbal blade thing that I promised that I would do a follow-up video and with regards to using purely Reaper plugins, etc. Now, I've done a lot of work on this. I've been trying some different things. I haven't been able to replicate what FabFilter MB does with Reaper plugins. I can show you how to do it using only Reaper plugins, but it's not necessarily a trick. What I wanted to do basically was show you how to do this in the same way as using the FabFilter Pro MB, but on one track. Yeah, instead of having the way I'm going to have to do it, I'm going to have to duplicate the snare track, and do you know what I mean? Which, okay, you can do that, and then you can bus them and render the bus and all the rest of it. I like recallability. I like to go back to where I was at the beginning. I know you save a new version of the project, etc. But, you know, I don't want to have to open up a new project every time if I want to go back to something. I want to be able to just go back. We can use an old trick that, if you don't know this, this is something you should know, and it's so useful. And it's called phase cancellation. Now, we're going back again. If you watch my video, I talked about what was it called? Deverb for free using Reaper plugins, where I use phase cancellation to our advantage. So basically what I'm talking about is if you phase cancel something, whatever you make different, you will hear. Okay? Let me show you. It's easier if I show you. Let's get rid of all this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get rid of this track that I was experimenting with, and we're going to duplicate the track exactly as we have it, okay, with all our plugins intact and everything. Okay, so just duplicate the track, and now we have two snare tracks. Now, this is what I was trying to avoid, was having, you know, duplicate tracks. But then again, we do our processing and we can render or freeze down to a bus track or whatever, you know what I mean, or hide tracks and stuff. So, well, you could hide tracks if you didn't have my setup. Let me just show you some very quickly. Track manager. Okay. Say for example I want to hide this snare stem track. Look at this. Can't hide it for the life of me. Will not go away. I don't know why. If anybody's got an answer, I know a few of you have tried to help me. Here's my options. Oh, it's not coming up. Yeah, so I don't see, I've looked at my other Reaper setups and they all work. Anyway, a little side note there, if anybody's got an answer to that. Right, let's get into this. So we've duplicated the track. Now, this is an old trick, so please, this is not my idea. If you see it somewhere else in the net, you know, it's because I've probably seen it somewhere else in the net. I learnt this years ago. This is, as we know, we've got, let's mute this out. Let's just play this solo track. Okay. So that's what we've got. Now if I bring this in again, and I phase shift it, 580 degrees, it cancels out. Okay. Audio School 101. So if you phase shift, you know, you phase reverse one of the tracks, they cancel out, so you get silence. So what we can do with this, if I add re-EQ on this, and if I bring into play a high pass and bring it up to roughly where I wanted. Now with this phase reversed, what I've effectively done is, I know you're going to say, oh, but it's different, it's going to be, because we're using re-EQ, it works just about, it works well enough, that what we've now done is I have now phase reversed the top end. So what we'll hear now is the bottom end, but not what is above our high pass. So basically everything that's above this line is phase cancelled. Okay, so if I switch this off, you'll hear nothing. Now all you're doing is you're hearing everything that's below this. Okay, so anything that's up here is phase cancelled, so you won't hear it. Whereas because this is cut out, you will hear it. Okay? This is what you got to remember, is what's different between the two tracks is what you will hear. Alright? So that's all well and good. So now what we want to do is if we put a compressor in, so if we put rear comp in, again, I'm showing you this because I want to do this just with Reaper plugins. We want our attack and release as fast as possible. Ratio we want as high as possible. We basically want this to be a limiter. And that's that. So we put this now first in our chain. Let me get the chain up. So let's put rear comp first. Okay. I'm going to get rid of the downward expander and the SegX. We'll leave the fab. No, I want to get rid of that in here. And we'll leave these two bits of processing that I want to use eventually. I just want to, I'm leaving the fab filter because I want to show you the difference between the two. So, we now have the rear comp. Now what's going to happen is, it gets a little bit complicated here, and I've got to think sometimes here with this. When the rear comp comes in, it's like I showed you in the deverb video. When rear comp ducks, it's going to make it different. So it's going to duck out the phase cancelled high end. So the compression is going to make that track different. So that high end is going to come in again. Same way with fab filter, where the expander opens and then closes very quickly. So that's why we've got the fast attack, the fast release, which again I'll show you, we'll have to mess around a little bit with that. But so it's this thing of making whatever's in a phase cancel track, what you make different is what you hear. Okay, so let's the easiest way to do it is just show you. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to switch on all our processing on both tracks, because I've got them switched off at the moment, so that we can hear. Right, let's get rid of these two. And we'll switch on our processing. So we've got re-EQ and the virtual mix rack, which is the same on both tracks. So if we go back to our copied track, this bottom one, and if we have it a recomp, if we play it, so I'll leave that up there. All you're hearing now, let's adjust our EQ. We just want the bottom end in. Now we want to make it different so that the top end opens. So let's do that now. Okay, you can hear that working now. It's ratty. Now, a little tip with any compressor: if you've got the attack and the release really fast, and you're getting distortion, you're getting rattiness, and you don't like it, open up the release, because that's usually what's causing the rattiness. Okay. Possibly the attack, sometimes just open it up a millisecond or two if you still want it really fast, but it's usually the release. So let's just open that up a little bit. You saw me in the fab filter video how I adjusted the release to let however much of that high end through that I wanted. So let's just hear that now. Okay, so again we can adjust, we've got our high pass filter quite low down there. bad. I hope you say. So let's mute that out and let's have a listen to it with the fab filter. Okay, and let's go back to the and even although I've got the ratio quite high, you can play around with it to get, you know, whatever results. Depends what you're after. The one good thing about using the 2 tracks is that the initial track I'm getting the crack from, so I don't have to worry. I can open up the attack a little bit on this trigger track that's opening up the high end. It doesn't matter, the high end can be a little bit after the initial crack because the crack is lower down in the frequency range, which we're getting from the first track anyway. So you can be a little bit more flexible with your attack and release on this second track that opens up the high end. Okay, so that's how you can do this with Reaper plugins. As I say, there is that SegX, there is the downward expander, sidechain it with an EQ. I just haven't had as good results as this. I mean, this, if you play around with it, you can't tell the difference between this and the fab filter if that's what you're after, but you can get slightly more natural results, I think, with this phase shifting techniques than the fab filter. The fab filter takes a little bit more tweaking. As you saw, I had to play around a little bit with the frequency where the crossover is at, you know, to try and get what you want. I mean, it's all dependent on what you're after. So, you know, there you go. That's how you can do this with Reaper plugins. Duplicate the track, flip the phase, put an EQ with a high pass filter on it. I keep getting these, still over after all these years. I still get high pass and low pass and you know, mixed up. Anyway, you can see what I'm talking about. Put a compressor on at the beginning of your chain, duck out, play with your attack and release, and even your ratio. You want your ratio quite high because you want it to be quite a major effect. But yeah, play around. So there you go, guys. I'll shut up now. Let you get on, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Ciao.